Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already for more than daily playoff videos. I'm probably doing 2 a day for the most part. So subscribe to the channel for that, and also drop a like on this video to help it in the YouTube algorithm. As I am recording this video, the Bucks are up by 30 or 29 with 7 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. I decided to tune out because I had seen enough. And the thing is, this nearly 30-point lead that they have, they got that at the end of the first quarter. I believe it was 26 after the first. They nearly had 50 points in the first quarter. The Bucks did not come to fuck around today, to say the least. They just completely destroyed the Heat in this one. There's still 7 minutes left. Maybe the Heat will make one of the greatest playoff comebacks in league history. But I'm recording this early in anticipation that that shall not be the case. So Bucks Heat was a massive victory on the Heat side of things. As I'm looking at it right now, these stats are obviously subject to change. Giannis has 31, 13, and 6 on 52% from the field. And Jrue Holiday has 11 and 15. Chris Middleton has 17. And Bryn Forbes, a.k.a. Michael Jordan, he has 22 points in 20 minutes, 6 for 9 from outside. Also hit a floater and I think a mid-range shot for that other 2-point field goal, but I'm not 1,000%. Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton also played well off of the bench, and Chris Middleton was fine, but really this whole game was just really everybody was hitting their threes thus far. They are 19 for 44, 43%. The first quarter, they had 10 three-pointers, which was one shy of tying the record or one shy of beating it. They might have had 11, something like that. I saw a tweet about it. So yeah, that's pretty good. And really, the main catalyst in this happening is that the Heat were just simply playing bad defense on Giannis. Like, a lot of people were going to walk away from this game with like, well, the Bucks got so many three-pointers and made pretty much all of them. At least at the start, that was the case. And yeah, that's a valid point. However, a lot of this came because Giannis was getting stuff easy, and that brought a lot of the defense's attention, and that led to a lot of open looks, or open enough for a team that was on fire early. Giannis was getting into the paint rather easy, and I talked about this in my Game 1 coverage, that Giannis was getting some pretty damn clean looks. He just missed a couple of bunnies, and I wasn't expecting that to be too much of a problem. He has 31 today. His efficiency could be a little bit better. He's 1 for 7 from 3. He is 6 for 7 from the line, which is nice to see because obviously his free throws were a big story of Game 1, even though they ended up winning. Yeah, didn't matter. The Bucks defense, or the Heat defense rather, was giving him pretty easy lanes. He looked very comfortable out there. There was one play that was a pick and roll with Chris Middleton where Andre Iguodala just seemed completely clueless, and Giannis got the very easy lob. Just multiple instances where it seemed like the Heat parted the Red Sea for Giannis. It was just not great defense and single coverage, and there was a lot of Dwayne Dedmon on him, and that didn't really work. There was a lot of Ariza on him, and that has not worked. And really, that's made me think that the loss of Jay Crowder is bigger than I gave it credit for. I said in my Heat versus Bucks video that Ariza would be able to kind of do what Jay did for them last year in the playoffs with their bubble defense, or not their bubble defense, their wall defense. They just played in the bubble. The bubble is just on my mind right now because everyone's calling the Heat a bubble fraud team right now. But Jay Crowder is a lot stronger and a lot better at post defense than Trevor Ariza. And that's become abundantly clear because Ariza's gotten the Giannis matchup quite often, and it has not worked. I haven't seen as much Bam on Giannis as I would expect, so that's something. But as for my notes for this game, I just put, oh my god, start the fucking game. That's because game listed for 7:30 starts at 7:45, and this is Eastern Standard Time I'm speaking of. Not even 7:45, it was like 7:50. Yeah, they just all had, let's listen to the TNT crew make some jokes that are pretty good, but then also their basketball analysis is pretty ass. I don't want to watch that. I want to watch the Bucks and Heat play basketball. Stop doing this. As of right now, the Nuggets game is about to start, and there's still 7 minutes left in this Bucks Heat game because they decided to spend 20 minutes previewing the fucking thing. Don't do that. It's really annoying, and it happens all the time, and it just bothers me every single time. Like I tweeted about it, and a guy was like, you know that happens all the time, right? Yes, it does. Just because something happens all the time does not mean you should grow to accept it. It's fucking annoying. Stop it. Anyways, I put in here Giannis is comfortable early. Giannis is not scared of this team. He had a mean block on Jimmy Butler that told me, like, Giannis just, he doesn't have fear. Like, the Heat in round one, around round two when they played the Bucks last year, they just fucking, they made Giannis look terrified. Like, he consistently ran into things that did not work, and at a certain point, he just got timid as a result. He was not timid in this game. He had no issue going at the Heat defense, and the Heat defense backed down routinely. Of course, like I said, I mentioned Bryn Forbes. He started the game hitting 2 3-pointers, a floater. Then as soon as that, I think he got subbed out. Or he might have hit another one and then he got subbed out, but then he got subbed right back in and then he hit another one. Just ridiculous. He was making every shot he was taking. And Bryn Forbes is a very interesting player because on the Spurs, he developed a reputation of, yes, this guy's a good three-point shooter, but that's literally it. Not much creating ability, no playmaking whatsoever, and a disaster defensively. But if he's going to shoot this well from three, then he's still worthy of playing basketball. Other than that, Tyler Hero is unplayable. This is back to the Heat side of things. Tyler Hero's played 16 minutes in this game, 1 for 5 so far. They're in garbage time at this point, so I'm sure he'll get more minutes. But that's the sad thing, is that Tyler Hero is kind of their garbage time player right now. That's not good. That's not a good thing, especially being that they didn't trade for James Harden because of this guy, or at least that's what the reports suggest. Of course, we'll never know the full extent of every trade like that, but that's a big fucking problem. Dwayne Dedmon, I have to shout out him. He played really well off of the bench. And Dragic, he came alive more in the third quarter when I was watching that. I've watched none of the fourth quarter, but I watched everything else. It seems like he's doing that further in this fourth quarter. I'm basically doing fucking play-by-play here. Dragic was not getting shots early. It was Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn this game, 9 points, 4 for 14. Now you might be asking, why is Kendrick Nunn shooting the ball 14 times? That's because both Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are only shooting the ball 10 and 11 times each because they're both getting either locked up by the defense or forced into the point of where they're just fucking timid. Jimmy Butler has not been aggressive going to the basket, mostly because the paint is just locked down. Now, I was critical in game one of Brook Lopez's defense because he was giving Bam so many open mid-range type things. Like, there was one possession that was early in this game that was funny to me because Bam was facing up on Brook, and like Bam was like 12 feet from the basket, and Brook was like right under the rim. And you would think, okay, short jumper or short floater for Bam, easy money. But no, Bam just dribbles into him to try and post up and then does a short fadeaway. And it's like, dude, he's giving you the shot, take it. Like, my initial reaction was, well, that's going to be easy for Bam. Bam is just going to shoot all these short mid-range shots. He's really good at that this year. But apparently not. Apparently Brook Lopez has him figured out because Bam is not taking these shots very often. When he is, they're not really dropping. And overall, he's just not been that aggressive offensively. Jimmy Butler really just is the main one, though, because at least Bam, this game is 5 for 11. He has 16 points. That's something. Jimmy has 10, and he has 4 free throw attempts. He has 10 field goal attempts. He's driving and kicking so often. And it's not even necessarily that Jimmy just isn't being aggressive enough. It's also just that his game is a lot more basic looking at it now, just because they cut off the paint. And ironically, it's actually kind of a similar thing to what happened with Giannis last year, where they were like, okay, we're just going to cut off the paint. What are you doing, Jimmy? That's what the Heat did last year. They're like, okay, we're cutting off the paint. What are you going to do, Giannis? What are you going to do? They're doing that to Jimmy now, which is the complete twist of fate or irony, whatever the term is. It's very, very interesting. And at this point, of course, the Bucks are going up 2-0. They have the home court. Maybe things change with the Heat home court advantage. But for the most part, I would not be surprised if this is no more than a 5-game series. And I predicted in my Heat Bucks video that this time around things would be different for the Heat. Of course, the Drew Holiday trade, not scoring much in this one, but playmaking-wise, fantastic. He was really good in Game 1. Really, Drew Holiday makes a big impact just by not being Eric Bledsoe, which is a damning statement on Eric Bledsoe as a player. But regardless, Drew Holiday is not Eric Bledsoe. Therefore, that's a big deal. I don't think the Heat win this series, to say the least. At this point, like, losing this badly, that is pitiful. It makes your team, I can't imagine, like, mentally recovering from this. Now, if there's any team in the league that can do it, because the Heat culture is still damn good, it would be the Heat. But I'm not confident in that, even with that being the case. Like, if there's one team that can do it, it's the Heat. But even then, at this point, like, losing this way in such a demoralizing fashion, losing Game 1 by a game winner, like, how do you keep your head held high after this? If they do, that will speak to the perseverance of this Heat team, but, like, it would make sense for them to give up at this point. I put on here as well, Dedmon is the only thing they have going for them offensively, and, like, Nicholas on Twitter, who's a good friend of mine, he tweeted... He's a good follow. He tweeted something like, if Dwayne Dedmon is your spark plug, if he's the only thing you have going, then just pack it up. We're done here. Like, no diss on Dwayne Dedmon, but if he's the only guy on your team that can buy a bucket, your offense is fucked. Like, that's point blank, period. If he's the only guy that's scoring, well, yeah, that's it. That's all, folks. Yeah, this game was just a fucking. It was a complete demolishing of the Miami Heat. So very good game for the Bucks. The Heat are in a very bad position right now. After Game 3, I'm going to be doing a video on the Heat if they go down 3-0. So that will be interesting. I'm glad to see, though, that the Bucks look like a new team, and that is going to make a difference for them in terms of my perception of them in the playoffs. Because looking at this team, I'm more confident in them versus the Nets than I originally was. That will be the second round matchup, barring the Celtics pulling off a ridiculous upset. I still would pick the Nets to win that series, but I'm not as confident that it's just going to be an outright easy series for the Nets. Not that I thought it would be easy, but I was like, I could see that being a 6-game, maybe even 5-game series. But looking at the way the Bucks are playing right now, especially against a Heat defense that, while not as good as it should be right now, is still good. And the Nets defense is kind of questionable. They're also not giving Nick Claxton the minutes I think he deserves, or at least they did it in Game 1 versus the Celtics. I'm more confident in the Bucks right now. Still picking the Nets, but more confident. Anyways, that's it. Goodbye.